rain fell in heavy sheets, drumming relentlessly on the roof of the old, dilapidated house. The wind howled through the cracks in the wooden walls, carrying with it an icy chill that penetrated deep into the bones. A lone candle flickered in the corner of the room, casting long, jagged shadows across the peeling wallpaper. Footsteps echoed in the empty hallway, slow and deliberate, each step creaking the ancient floorboards. The air was thick with the scent of damp wood and mildew. In the dim light, a portrait on the wall seemed to follow every movement with hollow, lifeless eyes. The house, long abandoned by the living, seemed to breathe with a life of its own. A door creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase descending into the darkness below. Hesitation hung in the air, but there was no turning back now. The candle was lifted, casting a faint glow down the steps, revealing cobwebs that stretched like ghostly fingers. The cold intensified with each step downward, wrapping around like an invisible shroud. At the bottom of the stairs, the air grew dense, almost suffocating. The faint sound of dripping water echoed from somewhere in the distance. The candlelight revealed a large room, its walls lined with ancient bookshelves. Dust covered everything, undisturbed for years, perhaps decades. In the center of the room stood a wooden table, and upon it lay a single, leather-bound book. The book's cover was cracked and worn, but a strange symbol gleamed faintly in the dim light. Fingers trembled as they reached out to touch it. The moment the hand made contact with the cover, a chill surged through the air, and the candle flickered violently, nearly extinguishing. A sudden sound shattered the silence, a whisper, faint and distant, yet clear enough to send a shiver down the spine. The whisper grew louder, more insistent, as if calling, beckoning closer. The book was opened slowly, revealing pages filled with strange, archaic symbols and cryptic writings. The words seemed to writhe on the page, shifting and changing under the flickering light. The whispering stopped abruptly, replaced by an oppressive silence. Then came a low, guttural sound, almost like a growl, emanating from the shadows. The candlelight wavered, casting eerie shapes that danced on the walls, eyes strained to pierce the darkness, heart pounding with a growing sense of dread. A sudden gust of wind extinguished the candle, plunging the room into complete darkness. Breath quickened, the sound of a racing heartbeat echoed in the ears. In the pitch black, something moved, a faint rustle, a shuffle of footsteps. The air grew colder still, breath visible in the freezing air. Fingers fumbled in the darkness, searching for the candle. There was a sense of something drawing nearer, a presence unseen but deeply felt. A match was struck, and for a brief moment the room was bathed in a warm glow. But the light revealed something else, a figure standing at the edge of the shadows, motionless and silent. The figure was tall, draped in tattered robes that seemed to meld with the darkness. Its face was obscured by a hood, but a pair of eyes gleamed faintly, reflecting the flickering flame. The match burned down to the fingertips, causing a yelp of pain. Darkness returned, but the presence remained. Breath came in shallow gasps, each sound amplified in the oppressive silence. The rustle of fabric, the creak of floorboards, and the low, steady rhythm of breathing. But whose breathing was it? The matchbox was fumbled. Open again, another match struck with trembling hands. The light flared to life, but the figure was gone. Relief was fleeting, replaced by a gnawing fear that something was still there, lurking just beyond the edge of the light. The book lay open on the table, its pages now blank, save for a single word scrawled in dark ink. Leave. The message was clear, but the door that led back up the stairs was gone. In its place was a solid wall, as if no door had ever existed. Panic set in, breath coming in ragged gasps. The walls seemed to close in, the room growing smaller, tighter. Another whisper, this time closer, almost directly behind. Turning swiftly, nothing was there. The light wavered and shadows seemed to move on their own. The air felt charged, heavy with an unseen force. Desperation drove feet to move, searching for another way out. In the far corner of the room, a faint glow appeared. It pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Approaching cautiously, the glow revealed another door, its frame outlined in an eerie, bluish light. The handle was cold to the touch, sending a jolt of icy pain through the hand. With a deep breath, the door was pulled open, revealing a long corridor, its walls lined with mirrors. Each mirror reflected not the dimly lit corridor, but something else entirely. Scenes of the past, moments long forgotten, twisted and distorted. Faces appeared in the glass, some familiar, others unknown, all staring with vacant, lifeless eyes. Walking down the corridor, reflections shifted and changed, each step bringing new horrors into view. Whispers filled the air again, voices overlapping, growing louder with each passing moment. The end of the corridor seemed impossibly far, stretching endlessly into the darkness. Then, abruptly, the whispers stopped. The air grew still, unnaturally so. The end of the corridor was suddenly just a few steps away, a heavy wooden door standing ominously in the gloom. With a trembling hand, the door was pushed open. Beyond was a vast, empty void, a darkness so complete it seemed to swallow all light. But within the void, something stirred. A shape began to emerge, a mass of shadows coalescing into form. Eyes, countless and unblinking, opened within the darkness, staring with an intensity that pierced the soul. A voice, deep and resonant, filled the void, speaking in a language both ancient and incomprehensible. The very sound of it caused pain, a throbbing ache in the head. The shape moved closer, tendrils of darkness reaching out, seeking, grasping. Fear paralyzed the body, breath caught in the throat. The shadows closed in, wrapping around like a suffocating blanket. The candle, forgotten until now, flared to life once more, its light piercing the darkness. The shadows recoiled, hissing and retreating into the void. A path appeared, illuminated by the flickering flame. With no other choice, steps were taken forward, each one feeling like a struggle against an unseen force. The path wound through the void, leading toward a distant point of light. Hope flickered, fragile but present. The light grew brighter with each step, banishing the shadows. The air grew warmer, less oppressive. Finally, the end of the path was reached, revealing another door. This one was simple, unadorned, yet it radiated a sense of safety, of escape. With a final desperate push, the door was opened and blinding light flooded in. The oppressive cold vanished, replaced by a warmth that was almost overwhelming. Eyes adjusted slowly, revealing a familiar sight. The entrance hall of the old house, but now bathed in the golden light of dawn. The rain had stopped, the wind calmed. The house, once menacing and alive, now seemed merely old and forgotten. The door behind closed silently, leaving no trace of the horrors within. Stepping out into the fresh morning air, a deep breath was taken, filled with the scent of wet earth and leaves. But as steps carried away from the house, a final glance back revealed something unsettling. In the highest window, a figure stood, watching, waiting. The same eyes that had gleamed in the darkness now reflected the morning light, unblinking and eternal. The journey was over, but the nightmare was far from ended. Some doors, once opened, can never truly be closed.